cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul's awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place.
The Firehorse gallops toward an explosion in silver as a peaceful revolution unites the Americas. The 51st state will rise, forging a new future for the Western Hemisphere.
And that hemisphere is being undertaken right now. You're living all through it. Welcome back to the Sovereign Soul Show. All of you divine lions, lionesses, I'm your host, Brad Wozni, and on the move today. So doing this in the hotel room before a quick checkout. Incredible stuff going on right now, right? So we've got 2026, year of the fire horse, Chinese New Year, and lunar year. Is silver set to explode? I believe 100%. Revolution and the reset ahead. So a peaceful revolution across the Americas, 51st state uniting, and the Western Hemisphere of freedom. I'm going to cover a lot right here. First of all, what's amazing is just a few hours ago, silver closed in Shanghai in China at $89.17 US per ounce. That's almost $90. But right now it's trading at $78 all across the states right now. So you continue to see a massive price disparity. What's incredible about this is the year of the fire horse starts on February 17th, and it lasts until February 5th of next year, 2027. But Shanghai, Beijing, all of the markets are closed for a week for the Lunar New Year. So they're not opening tomorrow, February 14th. That's it in China. They're closed for an entire week. So regardless of what happens in the precious metals markets, anybody who's locked in has to wait. And I'm going to come back to that a little bit later in the show. But the symbolism of the year of the fire horse in Chinese culture is this. It's a 60-year zodiac. So it embodies dynamic, fiery energy, symbolizing passion, transformation, and bold action occurring once every 60 decades, a cycle, 6 decades, right? 60 years cycle. It is often heralded as a catalyst for rapid societal shifts. Now, in Chinese lore, it says the horse represents freedom, resilience, and spirited perseverance, amplified by the fire element to evoke vitality, courage, and optimism, encouraging leadership and personal growth amid a faster pace of life. And boy, hasn't it been getting pretty fast for us, right? Historically, it's linked to upheaval. So when we look at the last 2 cycles of Year of the Horse, the fire horse, 1966 and 1906, what's the significance? Now, cultural turbulence in 1966. Even though it is said to inspire bravery and renewal, the blending of the horse's lively spirit with fire's intensity for a year is boundless momentum. So we'll talk about the traits and the cultural vibe, because this has a massive implication on everything that's going on, because you know that it is a financial warfare and a precious metal wars massively heating up over the last 2 years. It's really come to that tipping point where we're looking at right now in China today, February 13th, the close of the markets for the lunar cycle for the year of the fire horse, and February 27th for COMEX and CME, like I've reported on the last 2 shows. So if you saw the last 2 shows here on Rumble or on YouTube, you can take a look at that. We can go back through it. I had an economist on, West Point graduate, U.S. Army Ranger, Wall Street broker, who became a PhD of economics, full-on patriot, duty honor country, plus has an MBA. Incredible. Dr. Peter C. Earl. So that was just 3 days ago. That show came out. Go ahead and take a look at that after this live stream is all done, and get yourself educated and schooled up, because if silver in the next 12 to 18 months takes off like a frog in the sock, as the Aussies like to say it, right? And it goes to $1,000 and then $5,000 an ounce. And is that possible? 100%. Going to talk to you through those reasons as to why it's 100% possible. But when you're looking at this from a cultural vibe standpoint in the year of the fire horse, it perceives optimism, action-oriented change. It's ideal for breakthroughs, but with volatility risk. This is literally what comes up when you research it. And so on the historical note, let's go back to 1966 and 1906, which maybe the past is helping to prove the very near future here. So we've got a potential impact, a massive impact on precious metals markets. We know that we have bullion dealers across the US and in Europe of saying that they're sold out, that they've got orders for 3 to 5 months that they still have to handle on the deliveries. We also know in North America that you don't have silver mining companies that are underfunded right now, even publicly traded, and they're waiting to have a confirmation in America that you're going to have a price floor for silver. Just talking about silver here for a second, but it still extrapolates to all the other precious metals, palladium, platinum, gold, all the other concentrate and precious critical minerals too, as designated by Project Vault from 2 weeks ago, signed in an executive order by President Trump, right, to secure the supply chain. But at 78 bucks an ounce, or the volatility and the suppression, or $90 an ounce, even when we saw, here it is, picture for you right here, January 29th, that is 14 days ago. It was $120.12 an ounce US. Silver hit that. Now remember, only a year ago, it was 29 bucks an ounce to $31 an ounce, depending on the movement in that day. When you're looking at that cycle of January of the 12 months prior, and then it hit 120 an ounce. So there's no ceiling. There's really no floor unless it's mandated by the Treasury per the Gold Reserve Act, which is still in play. But it doesn't make sense for anybody to be an enterprise to go out and to mine for silver when you have all this price fluctuations. So America's going to come in and they're going to install a price floor, and they also have to give policy informing all of the public, as well as, of course, those mining companies, that, hey, regardless of the next 3 years, the administration with President Trump, and maybe he continues on for another 4, I don't know. But for the next 10, 20, 30 years, these policies are here to affect the security for you, the insurance for you to go ahead, to have the operating expenditures, to get the land leases, to purchase the land, to deal with the permitting, to get the all of the mechanics and the equipment and the industrialization of the mining operations up and going, and hire the people, feed them, handle all that, and the insurance too, so that you can be a value add in our supply chain in our sovereign nation in America. So that's what they're waiting for, right? We haven't seen the stroke of the pen, so they can get after it. And then that could be 3 to 5 years from now that they could be mining at the proper output, which is what you really need in America and North America, including the Western Hemisphere, for all of this. So in 1906, the San Francisco earthquake happened. We looked at these firehorse years, right? Going back 120 years. And in 1906, it caused massive destruction, triggering huge insurance payouts, gold outflows for reconstruction, strained global liquidity from the San Francisco earthquake. Isn't that interesting? And higher interest rates abroad. This contributed to the economic instability and set the stage for the panic of 1907, which is when a severe U.S. banking crisis with stock market dropped approximately 50% from its peak. So that reflected upheaval, credit tightening, and a precursor to financial panics in that change in that 1 year from 1906 to 1907. So fast forward to 1966. What happened in that year of the fire horse? Well, yeah, you had, amid escalating Vietnam War costs and civil rights tensions, that was the start of China's Cultural Revolution. That is when Mao came in and started seizing power. That was when it came in and said, all right, enough's enough. What we are going to do is we're going to mobilize millions of students, and we're going to go after the four olds, the old ideas, the old culture, the old customs, and the old habits. Well, remember, China is an ally in World War II. The Chinese were fighting the Nazified Japanese back then in World War II, right? So they were an ally. And what were they about? You look at that preserved original Chinese culture, mostly farmers, a little bit industrial. And this was, of course, after the Opium Wars that were initiated by the Crown in England against them. And Mao initiated this to reassert his authority in the party of the CCP. And he called it the Great Leap Forward, right? Well, starved out everybody, killed more people than Hitler, right? So the second largest genocide in the world. And then turned around, and now you have the CCP, right? And then you have a version of that still operating live today. So that was 1966. So here we are right now. Well, 60 years later, we are at the precipice, just days away from the year of the fire horse. We have Shanghai and Beijing. We have all the markets shut down. And what they've done, they have fortified silver. China, just on Shanghai Gold Exchange, issued a risk control measure. It's even called a fortress notice ahead of the Lunar New Year. So they're closed from Valentine's Day, February 14th to the 23rd, an entire 7 days. And they hiked the margins to 27% So what they're doing is squeezing out the speculators, right? Who are coming in on paper and derivatives and trying to speculate. So what does that mean? Because we all know about paper and we know the kill switch is coming on paper to crash the prices. So China's kind of blocking and tackling up ahead of that. And remember, it was only January 1st that they imposed an immediate export moratorium on silver to the world and other precious metals too. But hey, there you go. So there's nearly 70% of the world's silver supply vanished January 1st, just 5.5 weeks ago, almost 6 weeks ago now. And everybody's struggling for it, right? We had people on the last show 3 days ago from Australia saying there's lineups in Australia day after day, people trying to get silver. We know about it over in Europe. We know about it in Canada, in America, and other places, even big bullion dealers who can't handle the volume, the demand, or have even stopped and pulled silver off their websites altogether, just like they did with copper. So what's important about what China did to just kind of fortify silver? So I'll give an explanation like a fifth grader, because we're talking about paper trades and they put a 27% margin on it, right? So let's just say that you want to go into a toy store and buy a $100 toy, all right, to play with. Okay, so imagine that $100 toy is like a $100 silver contract. And the store says, okay, but to make sure you're serious and you have coverage, you got to give me 27% of the toy's price up front as a safety deposit. You want that toy, and we want to see if it goes up and you want to resell it. And if it goes down, well, we'll wait and see. And then you could sell the contract and take a loss. But you pay $27 now, 27%. Remember, these are big institutional investors or private speculators, maybe private family offices who are coming in the millions and tens of millions. So they have to put up 27% of their initial order on the paper. Boom. And then they lock the doors. They lock the doors and say, guess what? The international markets are going to do their thing. They might be a yo-yo up and down, but doesn't matter. You locked in your contract. And if the prices jump around crazy, during the holiday break, you can't do anything. If you want to buy the real toy tomorrow, you can't. You have to wait until the next week. But if you wait for the next week, who knows what's going to happen, right? But if you want to buy it right now, you pay the full 100. You don't have to buy on margin at 27%. But what it's done also is it's taken the speculators out of the market, the ones who are coming in, on a fractional perspective and saying, okay, well, here's like 8%, 7% of my entire buy. And they're trying to do the arbitrage, which is separate, right? Because you see arbitrage here where you can have people go in and they can buy in America at $78 an ounce right now, and they can sell it on the Shanghai exchange at $89.17, what it just closed at, right? It's all over the board. It's pretty amazing. And so really, think about it like this. Like Trump has kept saying, we're in the golden age. This is the golden age. Regardless of what you think about what's going on with the administration and all the incredible reveals, which have been happening overall at a 30,000 foot level, it's incredible, right? You're sitting here watching the complete reset of a financial system. And so I highly encourage anybody that's, especially in America, because we had our partner Goldco with Dr. Peter Earl on just 3 days ago. They are still offering, for those who are qualified orders, the ability to get up to $10,000 in free silver right now. And you can call them even today. Today's Friday. It's 2:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if this is the first that you're ever seeing it, I'm just going to run this real quick commercial. We'll be right back after.
All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the golden age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 five-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500%. since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozni. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com.
And so there you are. It's absolutely going to go crazy. It's going to go through the roof. And I'll talk about the $1,000, $5,000 an ounce silver and how it can get there very quickly. Very quickly. I mean, like overnight, very quickly. And why I believe that overnight is this year. Let's take a look at what Secretary of War Pete Hegseth just did. Just 2 days ago, he hosted the conference. Remember, it was a February 11th call. And that was put out 2 weeks ago. And said, I want all of the heads of the chief of defense of every nation, the 36 nations, right, or countries, difference between a sovereign nation and a country, to meet me at the Pentagon. And we're going to have a brainstorm, and I'm going to make a presentation. And so I read through the notes from Secretary of War Pete Hegseth yesterday, the presentation he gave the day prior to it. And it basically said this: all 36 of us must unite to combat trafficking and narco-terrorism in order for us to secure the sovereignty of our nation and America's and the corollary of Donald Trump's corollary of the Monroe Doctrine. It is imperative we all unite to fight trafficking and narco-terrorism. So human trafficking, he also talked about fraud, financial fraud, and narco-terrorism. And now what you have in El Paso, there's an OTAM issued on the airspace days ago, and the military is there going after the trafficking in the tunnels. And what you also have yesterday, which was acknowledged right after that conference at the Pentagon on the 11th, is that Mexico opened up their airspace to publicly allow American forces to come in and go after the cartels. Now, remember, 3 weeks ago, 90 cartel members were flown out of Mexico City and into the United States to face justice and charges. And what we've also seen, whether it's across from Vermont to Canada to Greenland to other parts of the Americas and other territories in America and all the way up to Alaska, and the Department of Justice, released the fact that there have been extradition treaties that have been put in place for other countries and then also those states to prosecute, and they went in and arrested those who were responsible for child rape, child trafficking, other human trafficking, drug trafficking, fraud, RICO, and bring them all back to an undisclosed location, probably Guantanamo Bay, we'll see. And it was a massive operation to take them down. So these operations are going on, and you just have to kind of look for all of that stuff, because once again, I've mentioned before, the algorithms, keep you focused on what you keep looking at, right? Which is okay. You don't need to be worrying about all of this, go about your lives. The greatest gift to the world is for you to share with the world is your talent and your skills. And, also keeping abreast of what's going on from a sovereign standpoint. Wellness, Make America Healthy Again, incredible. At the Superb Owl, not Super Bowl, Superb Owl Sunday show, you have the greatest commercial of all time, Wake Up People, where it's Mike Tyson with RFK Jr. talking about eat real food, and Mike Tyson literally saying the words, processed food kills. Hey, there you go. There's an ad paid for by HHS. And then you have all of the things, like you just had the CDC 2 days ago acknowledge that the CV-19 vaccines cause autism. So there you go. Another conspiracy. Vaccines cause autism. No, wrong. Boom. Oh, CDC just admitted it. So I guess it's true. So this is the spiritual Aikido, which we continue to see going on here, right? You're taking the deep state playbook, leveraging the deep state system, whether it's legal, British accreditation, registration, bar system, not lawful, sovereign, supreme law of the land, but they're using it back against them to take them all down in all facets of society, right? You have the health, you have the education, indoctrination, as well as health, indoctrination, financial, that's a form of indoctrination. And what is true, you're returning to sovereignty and being restored right across the entire kingdom of the world from our creator, right? By the way, I just want to give a quick shout out to all of you here on Rumble too, Grace, Rhino Hunter, great to see you again. We got Australia, Jack Sack in here, Wales, UK. Fantastic to see everybody from across the world here on Rumble. And then also in YouTube, watching live on this live stream now. Just do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up, hit the like button, hit the comment button, wherever you're watching this broadcast or listening a little bit later when this is published as a podcast on the platform. It really, really helps get the message out. Just remember that this week on Monday, 2 major truthers were completely banned, blocked on X. SG Anon was one of them, right? And he and I connected yesterday morning about it. And he called out a certain country about trafficking, immediately banned. That was it. Done. And it happens to be outside of this hemisphere. It's not in the Western hemisphere. Let's just leave it at that. So it's a massive war that's still going on, massive suppression. We are still heavily suppressed and shadow banned on X, even on our third account. And you kind of see that here too, right? You have the code, legacy code, whether it's on the certain channels you're watching it on, that are flagging certain keywords that are being said by hosts or being put forward, and they are pushing them down. So the algorithm keeps pushing us down, but when you like, when you comment, when you give shares, it truly helps us get this message out to the world, and I really appreciate it. So let's continue. Let's go back to, hey, why $5,000 an ounce silver? Why are you saying that, Brad? Well, remember, 1792, the U.S. Coinage Act and the Philadelphia Mint, it pegged 15 ounces of silver is equivalent to 1 ounce of gold. So now what you have is that ratio, which is the proper ratio from the Confederation standpoint, from the Republic of America, which is where you're going back to, and what it needs to be. All right. So then, Brad, what does that mean for us? Well, there's 2 things. Number one, just recently, even one of the other greatest gold bugs, as you might have heard the name, from American Capital's founder, you've got it right here. It just came up on Market Watch that he is expecting that gold alone could go to $12,000 an ounce. So this is 48 hours ago from Daniel Oliver, right? So this guy goes back to 2008. He's also helped call certain things because you can see the writing on the wall and you can see what is also happening. And yeah, he has his own gold fund out there, but also he's focused on gold and silver mining companies. So the ones that are actually bringing the physical precious metals out of the ground, which is what you want with Goldco. You call them, you get a qualified order, and they will give you an instant match on your qualified order in gold or silver, and that is physical. So when you go to Buddha Loves Gold or you call the toll-free number, you can talk to him. It's a free consult, and it's also a free report that you get. So education is great, but applied knowledge is where power comes from. So here he is, he's talking about it, but let me just, go right over to here, because this to me is the most important. Now he's referencing the $10 trillion bonds, $10 trillion, 10 trillion freaking dollars. Here it is, that Kevin Warsh, who is being appointed or has been appointed the new Fed chair by Trump, remember, central casting, that the 10 trillion in US Treasury bonds will mature over the next 12 months and the government will be forced to roll it over. So how does he do that? He said, well, there's basically 2 ways that they can roll it over. You can force the Fed to print more money to create more paper debt, right? Just ones and zeros on a computer somewhere and say, here's more debt to pay on, or you can grab gold and maybe you can hold on to that in gold. Well, isn't that interesting? Because Judy Shelton just put out on X this article, which was in the New York Sun, which asked the question, hey, should the Federal Reserve own gold? And here it is. Could and should the Fed own gold? At the moment, the Federal Reserve boasts that it does not own the monetary metal. There's an old picture of the Federal Reserve building right there before it was demolished 2 years ago, October. Actually, almost 3 years ago now. So you can go ahead and you can read that article, but bottom line, it's being put out in front of your faces as to what's coming, right? Remember, the golden age. The golden age is what it's all about. And you have, again, silver classified as a strategic precious metal via executive order. You have Project Vault 2 weeks ago that is going to, and here's where we go to $1,000 or $5,000 an ounce silver, that is going to set a price floor. So we talk about price floors. What is a price floor, right? If anybody just doesn't know, that's totally fine. So I just want to bring everybody along here. It means that as dictated by the American government, by Treasury, that a price like silver cannot go below it. So if they sit there and they go, we're going to price silver at $1,000 an ounce, and we're going to price gold at $15,000 an ounce, and that is constitutional money. That is constitutionally mandated, and that is exactly going back to the Coinage Act of 1792. So if gold's 15, if gold's 15 and silver's 1, then 15 silver at 1,000, that gives you the 15 to 1 gold to silver ratio in constitutional money. So it can happen with the stroke of the pen. And if anybody's asking, Brad, well, how could they do that with the stroke of a pen? Well, look at your Gold Reserve Act, 1934, which is still here. Well, it actually was 1933 when they stole all of America's gold and said that if you don't give us all your gold, you go to prison for 10 years and you get a $10,000 fine. Maybe we'll give you 10 years of prison and we'll not give you the fine. But if we find that you have any gold in your household, any American, that's it. Jail for you, $10,000 fine possibly. But guess what? If you give it to us now and you return it into any Federal Reserve Bank location across America during these very hard, difficult times in the dirty 30s in the Great Depression, we'll give you $23.50 an ounce. And with the Gold Reserve Act, they repriced gold at nearly $35 an ounce, gave themselves a pay raise after they stole all the gold from America. That's how they did it. So again, here's your Aikido being played back on them. And like JD Vance said, we are going to set price floors. And that was with 54 nations. 54 nations to set price floors and what they're going to do so that they can continue trade and they can continue to shore up the supply chain, which is about being sovereign, right? You have everything, or you've got the relationships that you can rely on if times get tough to get you through it, whether it's from a household, you, your family, and your community, your neighborhood, all the way through to an actual nation. It's so powerful. So that's what we anticipate coming. And we've heard reports from $235 to $280 an ounce is the minimum price per silver. That is what U.S. gold and silver mining companies require in order for them to make the capital investment and build out the long-term business plans to reactivate closed silver mines, go back to silver mines that they might have already had and they've been sitting here, but they were too tied up in regulation and uncertainty in the marketplace, and go, okay, if you're going to set a floor here, and if you're also going to give us this, this, and this, then we will start ramping up production. We will go get after it so we can help participate in making America great again. And that's where we see it absolutely going, right? That's where we see this incredible movement go. So you have perfect storm from a financial standpoint for sovereign souls like all of you who are here right now. You have China once again. So let me just summarize this. Perfect storm of opportunity right now in precious metals as far as I'm concerned. One, China closes off exports January 1st, gave you less than 2 weeks notice that was going to happen and restricted the world silver supply, but some accounts 70%. Two, February 13th, this day right now, China has closed all of its markets starting tomorrow because of the Lunar New Year, and they've actually closed right now. So that over the next week, whoever is doing whatever in precious metals, it could open up and you have price disparity. Silver closed at 89.17 today, and it's trading right now. It's $78 on the US marketplaces with COMEX. Number 3, on February 27th in COMEX, that's when everybody can demand the physical silver for the March orders. And right now, as it was reported just a couple days ago when I did the show, 103 million ounces only exist in the COMEX vaults of silver. And there's about a 430 to a 515 million ounce potential demand in 2 weeks' time from today, exactly 2 weeks today, which basically says this, right? Which says, okay, let's just say that you got 50 people lining up outside of your front door. They're starving. They haven't eaten for a month. You've been giving little scraps and food and water. February 27th shows up and they're like, great, I'm coming into this buffet. It's my time right now. And all of a sudden the doors open and say, we can only take the first 10 in line. You 40, that's it. You're going to have to starve. We're going to give you greenbacks, Federal Reserve notes, instead of physical silver, even though you're demanding it. That's all we've got. The first 10 come in, they sit down and eat, and the others get the greenbacks to try to do something with. That is exactly what we're facing in 2 weeks' time, dear souls. And it's freaking amazing. And by the way, there's rumors about Russia going out and saying, we're going to go back to the US dollar. This is literally just a screenshot from hours ago today, released today, that from the Bank of Russia, that says Bank of Russia is not taking part in talks on a return to US dollar payments for export. So it's right there. If you've been hearing about it, Russia going back to that, Russia getting away from BRICS, this is directly from Moscow. And it says in the highlighted region, the Bank of Russia is not currently taking part in talks on the possibility for the return to US dollars in Russian export payments. And then it's highlighted in that red, thanks Silver Trade for this one, as regards the potential development of relations with the United States, we as a central bank are not participating in it so far in any. Okay, so, you still have BRICS, gold-backed, right? BRICS, all there. You have an asset-backed currency. And I'm going to play this video for you once again. This video is 3 weeks old and still highly relevant today. If you know, here it is. Pay close attention.
Out from under the U.S. The dollar is going to collapse. The dollar is going to be replaced by gold. Central banks are buying gold to back up their currencies. They're getting rid of dollars. They're getting rid of treasuries. We are headed for an economic crisis, again, that will make the 2008 financial crisis look like a Sunday school picnic. The biggest difference between the crisis that we're about to have and the one we had back then is this one is all in America. It's not going to be exported to the rest of the world. It's not a global financial crisis. It's an American financial crisis.
So it's an American financial crisis. Why? Because the rest of the world, 2/3 of the world in the GDP is running on BRICS and they're asset backed already. So that's Mr. Schiff already telling it like it is. This is one of the guys who called the 2008 meltdown financial crisis, saying it right here. And by the way, that was just over 2 weeks ago. So gold had hit 5,500, dropped to 5,100. And that's what he was saying. It has made waves everywhere. So I highly encourage you, if you can, whatever you can, get physical precious metals, whatever country you're in, whatever nation you're in, hang on to some of it. And then, all eyes on Wall Street, all eyes on America, all eyes on the US dollar, on COMEX, and watching those people come in to the breakfast table, the buffet table on February 27th, extremely hungry, salivating, starving for physical food, right? They're physical precious metals. And there's not enough to go around, and everybody shows up at the door knocking on it and saying, I want mine. It's first come, first serve. Is truly incredible what's going to be happening here, everybody. So thank you very much for hanging out here. Wishing everybody a great long weekend in North America, right? 51st state is incredible. What is happening with the Alberta independence movement? It's awesome. Continue to support that and share that, everybody. It's truly remarkable and incredible, backed by the members of the Trump administration. But at the end of the day, we're all going back to a Western Hemisphere, the proper Americas, and we're returning to physical precious metals, gold, silver, etc., for money, constitutional money, which is God's money from the Almighty. And here you are once again. You have another chance right now, as soon as we hang up this show in a minute, to give Goldco a call in the USA only and have that free consultation and get a free report. Get yourself educated and maybe even take some action and get some gold or silver or both sent directly right to your home. We'll see you next time.
All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the golden age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 five-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500% since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozni. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com. Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our blinged Buddha firing red pills from his 9mm, let us know.